So welcome everyone, whether you are just joining us live today or catching up on the recording. It's great to have you with us. So in this session dedicated to elevating your campaigns, we're going to focus on something that is really powerful for campaign success. And before we dive in, I just want to acknowledge that you all will be coming to this session with very different experiences of digital campaigning. So some of you might be completely new to digital campaigns, while others have already run successful fundraising or advocacy campaigns before. So that mix of experience is a real strength. So please feel free to share your insights, questions, reflections, and challenges as we go along. And on your screens, you will be able to see today's agenda for our session. So we will start with campaign planning framework. So we'll remind you how you can plan your campaign. Then we will also outline campaign elevation strategies, so how you can make your campaign even more effective. Then we will move on to campaign evaluation, so how you can review your campaign after it is done. We will also discuss how you can leverage AI to make your campaigns even more effective and boost them. And we will also have a breakout rooms discussion where you will be able to discuss your upcoming campaigns and some of your challenges in the group. And of course, we will also have some time to answer your questions in the end of the session and outline some next steps. So let's move on to our introductions. I hope I have met most of you, I think so, but just for those who don't know me yet, my name is Svetlana. I'm a digital communications coach on the Bridge Advanced program. And before joining Lightful, I worked mostly in the nonprofit sector in Ukraine, where I'm based, dealing with partnerships, fundraising, and digital campaigns as well. So my team and I have been working on Giving Tuesday campaign in Ukraine. And during that period of time, I have gained some really insightful knowledge about how campaigns might be a really great momentum to spark generosity in your communities and also raise awareness about your cause. So I hope this session today will be really insightful and useful for you, and we will be able to give you some ideas for your upcoming campaigns and how you can make them even more effective. And it's not just me on the call today, it's also my colleague Sabina, so I will hand over to her to introduce herself as well.
Thanks, Svetlana, and hi everyone. So great to see you online today. For anyone who doesn't know me, I am another of your digital communication coaches on the team here at Lightful. And like Svetlana, my background is also in the nonprofit sector. I worked for 12 years at a conservation charity in the UK where I'm based. And whilst I was there, I worked on campaigns both on and offline. So really looking forward to exploring today's topic with you all and helping you to prepare to launch some really impactful campaigns, whatever the objective of your campaigns may be. So shall we take a look at our learning outcomes for today? So we hope that after this hour together, you'll be able to apply a structured framework to plan your next digital campaign with clear goals and an audience focus. You'll also be able to use audience insights and behavioural science principles to strengthen your campaign messaging and engagement. We've got some really good tips lined up to share with you about that. And you'll also have a chance to reflect on campaign performance from previous campaigns and explore how AI tools can support your evaluation and decision making. So as we do go through today's session, think about where you are in your own digital campaign journey. The strategies and the frameworks that we'll be discussing, they can help you whether you are starting from scratch or whether you're looking to refine and elevate what you are already doing. And something we would love to see everybody do as a result of the Bridge Advanced programme is to plan and launch a digital fundraising or advocacy campaign. So today's learnings can be applied directly to your campaign, so keep that in mind as we explore each section. And we'll get started with a quick poll, which I will bring up onto your screens in just a second. So I know as Bridge Advanced participants, I know many of you have already worked on campaigns in the past, and you might be already thinking about some campaigns at the moment. But I also know that some of you taking part in Bridge Advanced didn't join us for the Bridge programme, so digital campaigns may be newer for some of you. So what we'd like to do with this poll is get a sense of how confident you're feeling about planning and delivering your next campaign. So let me launch that for you. It should be up on your screens now. And we've got 3 questions there asking, are you already planning a digital campaign for this year? If you are, what is your primary campaign goal? And we've got a few options there. It could be fundraising, could be advocacy and awareness, could be volunteer recruitment or newsletter sign-ups or connecting with new partners. And the final question there is, how confident are you feeling about running a digital campaign? So do vote in those polls to let us know where you're currently at with your campaigning. Thank you. And I know confidence can look different for all of us. So maybe you feel strong on the creative side, but maybe you're feeling less sure about data, or maybe the opposite. There's really no wrong or right here. It's just a chance for us to check in together, see where we're at, and notice how our confidence might shift as we do go through today's session. And yeah, we'd also like to know what that primary goal is of your next digital campaign. Perhaps it might be fundraising or advocacy. And we're going to use your responses from that question to set up some breakout room discussions later on in today's workshops so that you'll be with other people who are focusing on the same campaign goal, hopefully, as long as our breakout room setup goes correctly. So I can see we got lots of votes coming in, which is fantastic. And it looks like the majority of you are planning a digital campaign for this year, which is fantastic. And a few of you are not yet sure. And fundraising and advocacy and awareness are the main goals for sure. And confidence is a bit of a spread, but maybe mostly around the middle of that scale. But hopefully, we can help you move higher up the scale by the end of the session. And we'd love to hear from you. So as we can see from those poll results, your confidence levels in campaign planning, they're high for some of you, they're not so high for others. So to help everybody feel on the same page when it comes to campaign planning, we'd like to invite you now to share what you think some of the key steps are when it comes to planning a digital campaign. So feel free, please, to come off of mute and share your thoughts with the group. Or if you'd prefer, you could put them in the chat. We'd really value hearing from a range of experiences. So, what do you think are some of the key steps when it comes to planning a digital campaign? Let us know. Would anybody like to kick off a discussion? Please do come off of mute and share.
Yes, I can start it off.
Thank you, Kevin.
My name is Kevin Amolo, Communication Officer, Midway Association of Kenya. I think one of the key things that one will consider in a digital campaign first is understanding the audience that you intend this campaign to go to, know their demographics, and understanding the audience will now let you know to the kind of messaging that you need to put out to realize the campaign objective. Another thing that we'll need to consider when doing a digital campaign is the timing. At what time do you need to schedule this kind of information so that you get your target audience at the right time? For example, for Midwives of Kenya, for instance, I'm dealing with midwife who are my key target audience. Then, therefore, and these are who are working mostly during the day. You might not really get them, but you can get them maybe early morning or late in the evening as they are now logging out from their workstation. So timing also is key when planning a digital campaign. And therefore, and then the last thing I may consider also the medium of communication that you want to use for digital campaign. You're understanding your audience demographic. Are you able to know, are they towards X? Are they intended toward LinkedIn or Facebook? So those are some of the three things that I may consider. Maybe can leave for others also to contribute. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I completely agree with everything you just said there. There's such really important areas to consider when you are thinking about your campaign planning. So knowing who you're talking to, which platforms they're on, and when they're actually going to be available to see your messages and respond to them. Those are such important considerations. I can see in the chat that lots of people agree with you. Sarah said that you need to understand the audience. Marguerite says defining your campaign, what you want to do and achieve. Oh yes, really important step. That's when you're setting your goals. And then who you're targeting your campaign to. So agreeing with Kevin there about the audience, what strategies and platforms are you going to use? How long is the campaign going to take? Brilliant. That's a really strong framework there that Marguerite shared to use to plan a digital campaign. And then Sarah's also said the content of the campaign. Brilliant. Thank you, everybody. Amazing to see those experiences and tips there. Oh, I can see Chase has shared too. Goal setting, target audience identification, key message development, platform selection, content creation, timeline and budget planning, campaign launch and promotion, monitoring and evaluation. That is perfect. If I bring up my next slide, you can see that it's almost word for word what we put on this slide here. So the brownie points there. And then Samuel has said, define the objective, define the target audience, craft the core message, and then the channel to use. Fabulous. Thank you everybody for that, for sharing your wisdom. And yeah, amazing to see that we're all really on the same page. So here on your screen now is our campaign planning framework. So I think some of you who did take part in Bridge are remembering this very well. And when we're talking about campaign planning, it's really easy, I think, to want to jump straight into the tactics, like what posts to schedule or which channels you want to use. But to make your campaign really impactful, just as you've been sharing in the chat, and as Kevin said, you need to start with that really clear framework that guides us every step of the way. And when we're talking about a campaign, what we mean really is a simple way to organize your content around a specific goal or theme or message. And then that can be a smaller campaign, maybe it could be using LinkedIn to get more newsletter signups, or it could be something much bigger, like a multi-channel campaign to educate on maternal health. But what is key to whatever the scale of your campaign is that the strategy and the framework stays the same, regardless of the scale and the scope. So this framework helps to make sure your campaign is strategic, measurable, and aligned with your mission rather than just a flurry of activity online. So let's quickly go through each stage of the campaign planning framework, just as a refresher for those of you who took part on Bridge, and as an introduction for those of you who didn't. So strategy. So we're starting with your overall objective. Here we can think, what is the change or the result that you want to see at the end of your campaign? Is it fundraising? Is it advocacy, awareness, or engagement? So your strategy should connect your organisation goals with your audience's motivations. Then we come to your campaign theme, and this is your creative anchor. So this is the message that unites your campaign. A strong campaign theme, it captures emotion and focuses attention, which helps to make your campaign really memorable. Then we come to your audience. So we do need to identify exactly who we're trying to reach. And we can segment your audience based on who they are and what motivates them. And that helps to then tailor your message so each group feels really seen and understood. Then we come to your task timeline. So this is when we're outlining and mapping out the key moments of your campaign. So that could be when it's going to go live, some content milestones, maybe when you're going to evaluate how it's performed. This helps keep you and your team on track and helps you stay agile as your campaign goes live and as it evolves. Then we've got your engagement plan. So this is how you plan on keeping that engagement going throughout the campaign, whether that's highlighting the donations you received or engaging with comments on social media or checking in with your key campaign players. And that might be your ambassadors or your influencers. And you can use storytelling, things like social proof, so testimonies, examples of donations received, and small nudges that help to move people from awareness to action. And then finally, once your campaign is over, you can review it to see whether you met your goals and what lessons you can learn to then apply them to your future campaigns. And using this framework doesn't just make your campaign more organized, it helps make it more intentional too. So you can see how each part contributes to your bigger goals. And I'm going to share with you in a few moments a real example to see how this framework comes to life in practice. But before I tell you about that, I just wanted to signpost a really great course that we have on Lightful Academy called Campaign Planning. And this takes you through the framework in more detail. So if this is new to you, or if you'd like to spend a bit more time exploring it and applying it to your next campaign, do follow the link that we're going to share in the chat now to explore that course in more depth. So here we have an example of a campaign from a Bridge graduate, and they're called Reach Up, and they're based in Florida in the US. And they're a nonprofit, and they focus on driving infant and maternal mortality rates to zero through supporting motherhood, fatherhood, and familyhood. So I thought this was a really great example to share with you all as midwives associations. And before they were on the Bridge programme, Reach Up were struggling to raise funds online and engage their audiences, and they'd never run an online campaign prior to being on the Bridge programme. But in a one-to-one with me, they were sharing about an in-person event that they were planning to celebrate their annual impact. And this really struck me as an excellent opportunity to turn it into a multi-channel campaign, showcasing what they've achieved and asking people to make a donation so that they can continue their brilliant work to end that maternal and child deaths. So I wanted to show you a quick clip of Jeff from Reach Up, who was explaining this in one of the live sessions on his Bridge cohort.
Have a victory celebration, kind of a year celebration in May scheduled, where we also present someone in the community with an award, and it's a reception. And it really wasn't, we really weren't thinking of it as a fundraising event per se, but talking through Sabina, we realized that's a great opportunity to build a campaign around it. So and Liz, who's our social media person's on the call, and we talked about it yesterday. So we're going to be creating a campaign around kind of our year-end victory success celebration and our awards presentation.
There we go. So that was in Jeff's own words. So what we did with the Reach Up team is we used the campaign planning framework, which we just went through, and we used that in conjunction with the campaign planner tool on the Lightful platform, which I'll show you later on. And we used that to plan a campaign which took place in April earlier this year. And the campaign theme was to end preventable maternal deaths. And the team set a goal to raise $34,000 to honour the 34 mothers who may have been saved with the help of Reach Up. Their target audience was existing supporters, celebration attendees, and social media followers. So they were very specific about their audience. And just as Kevin was saying, that allowed us to really target the kind of messages and the times of day that they would be going live and be available to engage with. And then let's take a look at how the campaign took shape. So on the right-hand side of your screen is a screenshot of one of their Instagram posts. Oh, I can see the video is not working. Let me open it up in another screen for you. I'll try and make this bigger so we can see it.
Achieving zero preventable maternal and infant deaths. We do this through a variety of services: educational programs for mothers and families, mental health counseling, care coordination, home visiting services, fatherhood education, and doula services.
Doulas in general, they're like a blessing. I feel so loved from the moment that I met her. I felt like I just had a great friend next to me that I could always reach out to, because if it wasn't for that, I feel like I would have been so lonely and just so lost.
I didn't have idea of what a doula was, but after Hope called me, she explained to me what a doula was. I was like, this program is great for me. I needed the help, especially emotional.
It was an amazing experience because I was really caught up in my fear. I couldn't get through it. I was in so much pain. And she just came and she was the lantern, and she was able to really guide me to my goal of having a safe delivery and holding my baby.
Reach Up has provided these services at no cost to its clients since 2006 in its efforts to achieve zero preventable maternal and infant deaths.
There we go. And sorry, that was probably a bit small on your screens. We can share the link to the Instagram post in the chat for you as well, so you can watch that in full in your own time as well. But hopefully that was useful to see an example of how they've brought that campaign messaging and that campaign theme to life and really targeted it at their audiences. Let me just take us to our next slide. So the outcome of the campaign was really great. So this was their first digital fundraising campaign. They not only met their campaign goal, they actually exceeded it. So I can bring up a message that we received from Jeff from Reach Up, who wanted to share with us that not only had they met their $34,000 target, which was in reference to those 34 lives that they had wanted to save, they actually exceeded it and almost doubled it, which is amazing. So when we do look at examples like Reach Up, it's really useful to remember that every organisation starts from a different place. Some have been doing digital campaigns for years, others are just testing things out for the first time. And the important thing is to apply these lessons to your own context and build confidence using all of the tools that we're sharing with you. So I hope that was helpful to see that example. And I'll hand you now to Svetlana to take us through some campaign strategies.
Thank you, Sabina. So yeah, as Sabina said, let's now talk about how you can elevate your future digital campaigns. So campaign elevation is about refining, innovating, and optimizing what you already do well. So you can think of it like upgrading your toolkit. So the same goals, but more impact. And we will cover a few quick-fire practical strategies that are especially useful for midwives associations. And the first one is to think about your audience's journey. So every supporter, every donor or follower has a journey from first hearing about your association to becoming a lifelong advocate. And mapping this journey helps you deliver the right message at the right time. So think about your audience's journey from first introduction to your association to the call to action. And build your campaign communications in a consistent way, starting from creating engaging content to attract attention, and then leading your audience through the stages of awareness, understanding of the association's mission, support, and finally to taking action. And this approach allows you to build a long-term and mutually beneficial relationships with your audience. So here are the stages. So start with awareness. How are people discovering your association? Then focus on education, how they're currently understanding your mission and the change you're making. Next is engagement. So give them meaningful ways to take part. And finally, it's stewardship. So how do you keep them coming back and deepening their support? So try to think about your campaigns in terms of these stages. Is each step clear and compelling to your audience? And Jasmine has just created a Lightful Academy course on the RACE framework, which you will find in this month's playlist on Lightful Academy. And we will share the link to this course in the chat as well. So I would really recommend completing this course because we could spend a whole workshop focusing on the RACE framework, but we will run out of time if we do that. So the RACE framework stands for Reach, Act, Convert, and Engage. And in the course, you will see there are tips for each stage, examples for nonprofits and midwife associations, and an activity to complete. So let me explain what the RACE framework helps you to do. So firstly, it will be useful to identify where potential supporters are dropping off during their journey with your association. Then focus on your resources on the most impactful areas of your digital strategy. And finally, it will help you measure performance using clear KPIs for each stage in order to identify scope for improvements. So think of a RACE framework as a lens. It reveals the gaps and opportunities in your supporter journey. So if you're struggling to reach certain audiences or prompt more valuable actions, such as donations or signups, then this framework can help you. And it can reveal the gaps and opportunities in your supporter journeys as well. And now let's talk about segmentation and personalization. So not every supporter needs to hear the same thing, and you can definitely adapt your messaging to different audiences that you have. So segmentation is all about understanding who is in your audience and grouping them based on behavior, connection to your association, or demographic details. And then you tailor your message. And that could be as simple as changing the opening line of your email, such as one of our monthly donors, or thanks for joining us for the first time. And you can also segment based on the things like donor history. For example, it could be your new donors or recurring donors, then their location, also their engagement. So if they are opening your emails or they are inactive, or their interests. So for example, they can be more focused on advocacy or education or other areas of your work. And personalization doesn't require fancy tech. It can start with merge tags like first name and email, or social post targeting certain groups. And the goal is for each person to feel like the message was meant specifically to them. So how to build this approach in your association? Firstly, look at your contact list and think of what do you already know about your audiences. For example, their email activity, donations, or their survey responses. Then group them meaningfully. And you don't need to create a lot of different segments. At start, you can just focus on 2 or 3 key segments. So focus on the most meaningful segments for your association. Then think of how you can tailor your message and adjust some introductory lines, images, or calls to action. For example, if it is your first-time donor, you can lead them through the welcome journey to learn more about your association. And if they are a volunteer, you can adapt their call to action to sign up for volunteering at your event, for example. And the last step is track engagement and identify if certain segments respond better to the specific messaging. Our next tip is about marking important dates because timing really matters. So align your campaigns with key moments. And as you know, awareness days are a great opportunity to get the word out about your work and the impact you're making and to attract additional support. And campaigns on these dates typically receive a lot of attention, reach, and engagement from users. And you can choose the dates that are right for your association, depending on the theme of your work. For example, International Day of the Midwife. And I remember that we have seen lots of great campaigns in May on the International Day of the Midwives. It could be also International Nurses Day and World Maternal Mental Health Day, for example. And you can also be part of larger campaigns like Giving Tuesday and run your own smaller campaign around that. For example, I know that some organizations are planning campaigns for their anniversaries, for example, so you can use those special dates as an occasion to raise support. And planning ahead lets you tie your messaging into something larger and ride the wave of broader visibility. And it's also a great way to segment your messaging and create urgency. So ask yourselves, what dates are relevant to your mission and audience, and how you can use them to build momentum. And we have compiled some examples of these important dates in the Lightful Platform Awareness Calendar, so you can check it out so you don't miss an opportunity to highlight your work. And we will share the link to our calendar in the chat as well. And there are also some principles that are grounded in psychology that are easy to apply to your campaigns, and they do not require more money or tools and can be integrated into your campaign messaging. So let's go through some tips on how you can adapt your messaging to make it more adapted to your audience and sounding more emotional. So first one is social proof. And it works because people often look to others or to guide their own behavior, especially when they are unsure. So when we show that a large group of people has already taken an action, it reduces this hesitation. And for nonprofits, that could mean displaying how many people have already donated, signed a petition, or attended an event. And it reassures people that they are not alone and they are part of the movement. Another tip is scarcity and urgency, and that taps into our fear of missing out. So if someone thinks that they might lose an opportunity, like a matching gift campaign ending soon, they're more likely to act quickly. And the same goes for limited time events and campaigns tied to key moments, such as Giving Tuesday or end of year deadlines. So adding a countdown or final reminder can boost last minute engagement significantly. Next one is anchoring, and it is about setting expectations. So when you suggest a given amount, even casually, you create a reference point in the donor's mind. And so, for example, if you say most people give $25, donors are more likely to give at or above the level that is that if there was no anchor. So you can also offer multiple amounts, but place the ideal choice in the middle. So people tend to avoid extremes, so that might be a good suggestion for them. The next one is reciprocity, and it is the idea that if someone gives you something of value, you will feel more inclined to give back. And this is powerful in nonprofit marketing. So you can offer a helpful resource like a free ebook, checklist, or inspirational video, and it really helps you build goodwill. And when the donation ask follows later, it doesn't feel like a cold request. It feels like the next step in a meaningful exchange. The next one is commitment and consistency. So people like to see themselves as consistent. And if they take a small action, like signing a petition or attending an event, they are more likely to follow up with the bigger one, like donating or volunteering. So remind them of the action they have already taken, and then invite them to continue their journey. And this really keeps the momentum going and deepens your engagement with them. And the last one is framing, and it is all about how we present information. So saying something like, we need $10 is quite vague and puts the focus on your organization's needs. But if you say $10 a day fits 4 children, then you can immediately show the impact. And people are much more motivated when they can visualize the outcome of their gift. So use numbers and stories to create powerful framing. And these behavioral science principles are simple, but quite powerful. So you do not need to overhaul your campaign to use them, but just tweak your messaging with intent. And even if you well-placed nudges can increase conversions, deepen engagement, and make your campaign feel more human and persuasive. So let us know if you have used any of these nudges, and if so, did any of them work? Or if not, which one would you like to test? So let us know in the chat and share what you think about these principles. And now I would like to discuss how you can evaluate your campaign after it is over. So for this, I will hand over to Sabina.
Thanks, Svetlana. So now that we've been reflecting on planning and elevating your digital campaigns, let's move on to thinking about why evaluating our previous campaigns is also a really important part of making them stronger in the future. So campaigns, they're not just about that delivery, they're also a learning opportunity. When we take time to evaluate them, we can understand whether we've actually achieved what we set out to do, whether we've met those goals that we set. We can also spot what worked, perhaps what didn't work, and gather some insights that help us make better decisions next time. And this is especially important in the social impact and nonprofit space where resources are tight and we know that your impact really matters so deeply. So good evaluation helps us move from instinct into evidence. It's about closing that loop between planning and delivery and learning, so we don't just repeat the same activities, we're building momentum each time we launch a campaign. So let's take a look at where evaluation fits into the bigger picture of campaign work. So on screen, we've got a hopefully quite a simple campaign life cycle diagram here, which goes from plan to launch, monitor, then evaluate, adapt, and repeat. So a lot of energy often goes into the first half of that cycle, the planning and the launching, and even the monitoring whilst it's live. But what many organisations and associations don't always make time for is the really crucial step of evaluation. Evaluation is what closes that loop. It's where we ask, did we achieve what we set out to do? What can we learn from our experiences? And how can we improve next time? And without this step, there's always the risk of repeating the same issues or missing opportunities to build on what worked previously. So let me break down some of the key benefits. So it helps you to understand real impact versus perhaps your intended outcomes. So you can have a moment to think when you're looking at your evaluation, did our audience actually respond the way we hoped that they would? It also gives us the chance to improve future messages, timing, formats, and targeting. So we can use what we learn from evaluation to really sharpen your next campaign. It also helps to avoid repeating mistakes. If something in your campaign didn't land last time, we don't want to spend energy doing it again. And so it helps to build that culture of learning and resilience in your association. So campaign evaluation is not just another task to add to the checklist, it's actually a mindset that helps your team grow stronger over time. And this step is what transformed campaign delivery into campaign intelligence. And now let's move on to briefly talk about how AI tools, like the one we'll be showing you in a moment on the Lightful platform, how AI can help us with campaign planning and evaluation. And like I mentioned, evaluation can often seem quite a difficult task, especially with lots of data that you need to gather and analyse, but it doesn't always need to be time-consuming or complicated. There's just as different digital tools change the way that we analyse data, AI can help us make a few smart, practical improvements too. So the first way I think AI can really help is by using it to summarise performance data. So if you have a long campaign report or an analytics sheet of your campaign data, AI can be used to pull out some key trends. Maybe it could focus on what posts perform best or when your engagement peaked or what your audience responded to the most in your campaign. And one of our colleagues here at Lightful recently took a data analysis and AI course, and they shared some really useful learnings about using AI for your data analysis. And they were to firstly ensure your data is already as orderly and structured as you can make it before you put it into AI. So you want to make sure you're using clear, jargon-free headers and rows and columns to organize your data. You can use lots of different file formats that are acceptable, like XLS, CSV, PDF. You can also try experimenting with asking the AI to clean up the data for you. And then you're uploading your data set and asking the AI, such as ChatGPT, to describe the information. First of all, you want to ask it to read it and list it, describe its structure. So this helps to make sure you're giving the data visibility and making sure that the AI has understood what the data set is that it's working with. Then you can ask it to correct any outputs. So AI can make mistakes, so this is a really useful step to take. If it describes something completely wrong, here's where you can catch that. You can point out the mistake and ask it to do it again until it gets it right. Then is when we get to the exciting bit. This is when you can ask it to do things for you. Like maybe you might want to ask it to provide 5 interesting insights about this data set. Or, what are 3 most significant patterns that you're seeing in this data? Or summarize what worked well in this campaign based on engagement data. So it's a bit of kind of pre-work with the AI to make sure that it's understanding the data, but then it's going to save you time in the long run by drawing out those trends for you. And there's another way that AI can help your campaign evaluation, and that's by drafting evaluation summaries. So this, if you're maybe struggling to write up what lessons you're learning from previous campaigns, AI can help you to turn bullet points into polished reflections or reports, which you could then share if you need to with your internal teams or your funders. So this is really useful if you're starting, you know, from that blank page, you've got that blank page syndrome, you're not sure where to begin, or even if you're short on time. And you can also use AI for identifying messaging patterns. So AI tools can analyze language across your emails, your social media posts, even your adverts, and that can show you what kind of tone or messages got the most engagement. So you could find out, did your audience prefer informative or emotional messaging, for example? It can also help you to analyze changes in who's engaging by platform or region or device or topic, which can help you refine your targeting next time. You could even ask your AI to feedback from the perspective of your target audience. So while reflection still takes critical thinking, AI can speed up the information gathering and pattern spotting, giving you a really strong head start so you can then focus your time on that human insight. Something to also be aware of when you are using AI this way is you always want to make sure that the data that you are using anonymizes any of your participants, your users, anybody who's engaged with your campaign. So you're just giving it the bare bones of the data, the numbers, the posts, that kind of thing. You don't want to give it any personal information. But hopefully that can be a really useful tool in your arsenal when it comes to campaign evaluation. And then I mentioned the campaign planner on the Lightful platform. So those of you who took part in Bridge may well remember our campaign planner tool, but I thought I would just quickly show you around it and show you how it can, one, be used to help you plan your campaigns, but two, help you evaluate your campaigns once they're over and when you're planning your future campaigns. So if I bring up the Lightful platform, let me just move my Zoom screen around so you can see it more clearly. It's here under campaigns, if we go there. And if you've used it previously, any campaigns that you've created will be showing on the right-hand side of your screen. So for example, here's a campaign that I added some detail to previously. And let me move this again. So we can see here I've put in what my campaign name was, what the purpose was. So it was an awareness raising campaign. I'm going to skip past the AI section just for now, and I'll come back to it in a moment. I've given it a campaign description. I've mapped out some milestones, so when I want my campaign to begin, when I want my campaign to end, when I want to do my campaign evaluation. I've given them dates to help me stay on track. And I've set some goals. So thinking back to those goals that we were talking about right at the start of the session when we were thinking about your campaign strategy, we've decided what we want to achieve with this campaign and made it smart so it helps us stay on track. Then we come to the theme. So here's where we're bringing in that story into your campaign and backing that up with some statistics and a call to action. And then mapping out who the audience is for our campaign. So as we were saying earlier, we know that audience is so important when it comes to campaign planning, so we can make sure we're reaching them effectively. And then a task timeline, which we haven't put in the details to here, but you can see it's prompted us what we could do, and we can give each task a title, and we can add more tasks underneath and detail who's doing what and when. And then, as I mentioned, once the campaign's over, here is a space to capture those insights so that next time you're running a campaign, you can look back at how well you performed, any challenges you faced, what went well, and anything you might want to do differently next time. And then you can put those into action in your next campaign. That's the campaign planner. I showed you how to get into it if we were going back to a campaign we've built previously. But if you're starting from scratch, you just click on Start a New Campaign and it will bring up that interactive form that I was taking us through. And it saves your work as you go, and you can download it as a PDF to share it with your team. Or if you wanted to share it with the Lightful team and get some feedback, we're here to help with that kind of thing too. So hopefully that will be a useful tool for you all. And I mentioned it's got AI integration. So here you can get the AI to come up with lots of campaign ideas for you. So if you're not sure what to do, you can integrate it with your story. It could be your keystone story. Let's do it with that one. And it will generate a campaign plan for us. And you can see here it's come up with a campaign name, the description, a motive theme, some statistics. I would always say replace these statistics with your own statistics. And the call to action and some strategies you can follow. So if you're ever not sure where to begin, I would always recommend trying out that campaign AI and seeing if that comes up with some good ideas that you can grow from. So that is a quick whiz through the campaign planning tool. And let me take you back to our slides. There we go. So now it's time for our group activity. What we're going to do is to pop you into some great breakout rooms. I'm actually going to open them up in a moment and you'll be able to choose which rooms you would like to join. You'll see there's a choice of advocacy campaign rooms or fundraising campaign rooms. So depending on what your next campaign is going to be about, join the room that you would like to focus on. And you'll see there's a couple of options for each room because we've got quite a big group with us today. So once you're in your room, think about what kind of campaign you are going to plan and launch during your time on the Bridge Advanced programme, and share your ideas with your group. Even if you're not sure where to start, hopefully having that discussion is going to help to prompt some ideas for you. And those of you with more experience planning campaigns can help inspire others. Those of you who are new to campaign planning hopefully can bring fresh perspectives too. And the goal is to leave this discussion with an idea of a campaign that you can develop and put into action over the coming weeks and months. So discuss what themes you'll choose, what your campaign goals are, any challenges that you're facing. So I'm opening up those campaign breakout rooms now, and oh, it's telling me it's cancelling them. Let me do that. Right, I think they are open. Hopefully you've seen some invitations popping up on your screens. You should be able to join the room that you'd like to join. And if you're having any problems with that, let us know. This is the first time we've tried it this way around, so it's a new thing. Let us know if it's not working. But we'll let you know when it's time to come back, and we hope you have some great discussions in your breakout rooms.
Hello, hey everyone. Thank you for coming back to us, main room. So we are now looking forward to learn more about your discussions and the ideas for your campaigns. So let us know if you have any new ideas that popped up during your discussions or any challenges that you have in planning your campaigns. So would anyone like to unmute and share your campaign ideas or challenges? Hello, Agnes, would you like to share?
Yes, thank you very much. So our time was not enough though, but it's okay. I can share some few things. So I was just discussing with our group, saying that for the South Sudan Nurses and Midwives Association, we would like to make a campaign. The campaign idea is on the high maternal mortality rate in South Sudan, and I think it is the highest in the world. And then the infant mortality also is high. And then there's also the crude death rate of the adults, which is high, but it's not registered. Only we are just seeing it from, because you move from community to community, you find that people are having funerals. So those are the ideas that we wanted to make. And then we have not yet come clearly with the team. We are going to sit together with the SNAMA members to come with a clear team of the campaign. And then the challenges, we say that some people, of course, will be left out because digital outreach is still a challenge in South Sudan. And then another challenge will be the different audiences, because we are targeting the community whereby it has the youth, the adults, the men, the female, and so on. So we are yet to figure out how we can really make the content feel to each other like we are addressing them. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Agnes. This is a really great idea, and we would definitely be happy to support you in planning this campaign and executing it. And I definitely agree that you will need to find the specific messaging for each of those audiences that you mentioned, because I think maybe some of them would have different calls to actions, and you can adapt your messaging to accommodate this. But yeah, this is definitely a great idea. And yeah, sorry for not having enough time for the discussion, but I hope you can continue your discussions in your WhatsApp chat if you like. Would anyone like to share your campaign idea or any challenge you have with your campaign planning? Also, feel free to share.
This is Sarah.
Hi, Sarah. Please go on.
Yes, Sarah from the Uganda Private Midwives Association. We are planning a campaign on increasing access to abortion care services. In Uganda, accessing safe abortion is restrictive, so mothers go for unsafe abortions and they end up dying. And unsafe abortion is one of the major causes of maternal deaths in our country. So we want a campaign to increase access to abortion, because post-abortion care is allowed. So mothers, after going for unsafe, at least we want them to go and access post-abortion care. So the goal is to reduce deaths from maternal deaths, but the challenge is the law, the restrictive law regarding accessing safe abortion care services in our country.
Thank you for sharing, Sarah. And this and also the campaign idea that Agnes has shared are both so important. So thank you for sharing those ideas and planning those campaigns. So yeah, thank you very much for sharing. And as I said, if you need any support in planning your campaign and understanding which audiences you need this campaign to speak to and what channels to select, we are more than happy to help. So feel free to book a one-to-one. And I can see a comment in the chat to Shaista. Thank you very much for sharing your feedback as well. So just for the sake of time, I think we will move on to the next steps for now. But if you'd like to share more of the campaign ideas or challenges in the chat, please do, and we will go through the comments while we go through our next steps. So I will hand over to Sabina now.
Thank you. Yeah, do keep those campaign plans and challenges coming in the chat or in your WhatsApp groups. We really want to help you with them all. So here are your next steps following today's workshop. So remember that part of the Bridge Advanced program is to plan, launch and learn from a live campaign. So the tools and the strategies we've discussed today are really designed to support you through that process, whether you're refining your messaging or segmenting your audience or experimenting with AI for evaluation. Keep linking it back to that real campaign that you'll be running. So here are those next steps. Firstly, we've got some great content on Lightful Academy. Courses that we've prepared for you can be found in your 4th playlist on Bridge Advanced, which is about advancing digital campaigning. So we've got some great courses on there that I really recommend checking out. Then continue adding ideas for your next campaign onto the campaign planner tool on the Lightful platform and use it also to reflect on past campaigns that you've run. And feel free to download the PDF of those campaign plans and send them through to the Lightful team, and we're here to help. And on that note, do book in for your one-to-one coaching calls and we can discuss your campaign plans, help you overcome those challenges and get those launched together. I also wanted to quickly let you know we've got another exciting bonus session coming up for our Bridge participants and alumni community. So it's all about Giving Tuesday, and the session is going to be taking place on the 6th of November at 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, and it's designed to really help you to get ready for Giving Tuesday, which this year is falling on the 2nd of December. So we're joined by a brilliant guest speaker who is going to be sharing their really valuable insights and top tips to help you make the most of this global giving moment. I'll be sending you an email and putting the details in your WhatsApp chat, but just save the date for this one and look out for the details so that you can register to attend. But I know we're coming to the end of our time, so let me open up the floor to see if you have any questions that we can answer for you. And feel free to ask those questions aloud or to post them in the chat, and we would love to help you answer them. And in the meantime, I'm going to launch a final poll for the day, finding out how useful you found today's session. If I can get this to go live, there we go, it should be popping up on your screens now. But any questions for us? Or if you do think of questions after we finish today, do feel free to post them in your WhatsApp chat or drop us an email to support@lightful.com. Speaking of WhatsApp, here are the QR codes if you haven't already joined your groups. So you can join us on Facebook or over on WhatsApp, and we can post the links to those in your chat too. But otherwise, all that remains to say is thank you for coming along today. It's been amazing to have you with us here. Great to hear about your campaign ideas. Really looking forward to seeing them come to life. And as I said, do book in those one-to-one coaching calls so we can help you overcome your challenges. Otherwise, hopefully we'll see you at that bonus session and at your upcoming one-to-ones. And take care, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye.